Oh, hey everyone. I'm in Hong Kong right now, and I thought I would take the time to show you around this nice part of China.
Mr. Low, you've been proven guilty for crimes against humanity by saying that Hong Kong is part of the People's Republic of China. Technically, we are not part of China until 2047.
No, Hong Kong is part of China.
Nonsense. Anyways, you will be staying here for 1 year in prison and spend 80 hours doing public community service.
Hey, look at the judge's wig. It kind of reminds me of... Oh my god! It all makes sense! Hong Kong was influenced heavily by the British. Doesn't the judge's wig remind you of the English wigs the British wore? And as well, look at the court transcriptionist. Look at his teeth! Just like the British. Okay, in order to get where we are, let's get a little bit stereotypical. Can you name some stereotypes about the British? Bad teeth? Weird pronunciation? Tea! So, the British loves their tea. But where am I gonna go get my tea? Yes, China! So, in the early 1700s, the British traded with China. The British gave silver for tea. It was a win-win situation until the British realized that China was giving less tea for silver. So, the British decided to switch it up, and instead of giving silver, they decided to give... Who's sniffing so goddamn loud? Oh, it's coming from here? Oh my god! The Chinese? What are the Chinese? Are the Chinese getting high on opium? It's 1839, and the British got some opium. And they really want to smuggle some, which is crazy. It really is.
They do this to earn money. The British gave opium to East Co,
which then they gave to the people of China. Those yearning for the mines and living a terrible life. The people in China want opium. And when China found out about the illegal trade, they did not like that at all. Lin Zixu, a Chinese official in the Qing dynasty, banned opium due to health concerns and the fact that his son overdosed on opium, leading to 1,700 dealers arrested and over 2.6 million pounds of opium thrown into the ocean. Hey, that sounds familiar. Fast forward a bit, and there's China. Very, very angry China. And what will China do? Wait, China declared war? Said the British? Okay. So, the British invaded China. Weapons, ships, birding ships. Yeah, that was the first opium war. In the aftermath, the Treaty of Nanking was signed and China lost. And the Chinese were forced to cede Hong Kong. In fact, it was the first order from the British after they won the first opium war. So, now that Hong Kong was part of the British colony, what's next? The British said, hey, let's slap our own terms of service, our own legal systems, our own trading policies. Whoa, said a few organizations that revolted against British rule. You literally can't do this to us. Like, seriously, you can't do this. And the British said, suck my English tea bags. And these organizations couldn't really make a major impact to change British ruling in Hong Kong. So let's recap what just happened. The British smuggles opium to China. Then China gets invaded by the British in the first opium wars. And finally, the British forced China to cede Hong Kong, making Hong Kong to be a part of the British. Okay, we good? Alright, then I have to ask another question. How is modern-day Hong Kong influenced by the British?
Because I like it.
So one of the major things is how the law works. 2 years after the British colonized Hong Kong, they got their own judicial system, different from what China is using. It was mostly English-speaking judges at the time, before a few decades later, there would be more Chinese-speaking judges. Judicial law was based on English law, and Chinese customary law was not really the thing on the block anymore. There's also a thing called common law, which was introduced by the British and was used in Hong Kong, which is just a list of unwritten laws with reason. There's also a lot of other laws that the British put up in Hong Kong, but I don't think it's necessary to really talk about it. Oh, and the judges wore English wigs. That's cool, I guess.
What? I said you.
That's what I'm at.
Okay, let's say if I were to kidnap an English-speaking student and place him in the ghetto alleyway in Hong Kong, would he still survive without Google Translate? Yeah, most likely. Because the British spoke English, Hong Kong recognizes English as an official language, followed by Chinese. However, the Chinese spoken in Hong Kong is mostly with the Cantonese dialect. Obviously, not everyone in Hong Kong knows or speaks English, but you could probably enter your local Watson and they probably will figure out that you're speaking English. In 1904, the British introduced trams to Hong Kong. The nickname of this tram was called the Ding Ding. I am not joking, it's called the Ding Ding. And hey, it still exists today. Ferries are one of the transportation devices that have rooted in Hong Kong history. It's kind of a Hong Kong thing at this point. In 1880, the Star Ferry was born, a group of ferries that is a tourist site and yet an actual ferry service, which people actually could travel to. Unfortunately, due to COVID and political turmoil, they're sadly dying. Double-decker buses are also influenced in Hong Kong by the British, and they look very similar to the ones of the British. Also, have you ever wondered why Hong Kong drives on the left side of the road? Huh, I really wonder. The British looked at all of this land and went, hey, let's build some stuff here and totally not destroy anything, because that would totally suck. So the British during the Victorian period sipped their tea and got to work building stuff. Some notable builds include the Flagstaff House that introduced Hong Kong to Western architecture, and St. John's Cathedral, a church just in the middle of the busy present-day western part of Hong Kong. Oh, and we can't forget about the Supreme Court. Many of the streets in Hong Kong were influenced by the British, like Prince Edward Road, Bakery Street, Old Bailey Road, and Queen Victoria Street. As well, many of its landmarks are based on names of the British family, including Victoria Park and Victoria Harbour. Side note about Victoria Harbour, there are two 54-feet-tall inflatable rubber ducks traveling to Hong Kong this June. No, seriously, just look it up. It's tea time! Afternoon tea, actually. Hong Kong also has their tea breaks, heavily influenced by the British. That one's pretty obvious. They snack on their tea with crumpets, their fancy scones, and their little bit. Oh, it's China. Dude, China is pissed. What's wrong with China? Yeah, you are supposed to eat dim sum with your tea, not the British stone rocks. Why do you want to eat cake when sipping tea? I mean, it's kind of a thing. God, you guys suck. Oh, wow. You're gonna cry? You're gonna send us some tanks to us? So it's kind of a cultural division. The British want tea to be served with biscuits and crumpets. Meanwhile, China, right next to Hong Kong, wants people to sip tea and eat dim sum instead, which is cuisine that includes but not limited to shrimp dumplings, steamed pork buns, and dumplings. This is important because it shows us a clear division of Chinese culture and British culture, as if there was a visible border. However, a few decades later, they both started blending together and now we have both. It's like a fusion, both regarding tea. Speaking of tea, the UK is now going to have their afternoon tea. Let's observe. Arriving to the door. Let me place my tea right here. Oh, isn't the pleasant Christmas in 1941? Oh, isn't that crazy, innit? Tad bit insane that the Japanese would approach my property. Yeah. I'd like to personally thank you for arriving to celebrate the birthday in Hong Kong. I'm the captain now. In 1941, the British governor of Hong Kong got a message from the Japanese saying that they should surrender Hong Kong to the Japanese. Why, said the British? Well, I have over 200 million power and rise a kingdom. Nuh-uh, said the British. There is no way you can seriously take Hong Kong. Are you serious? On Christmas Day in 1941, during World War II, the Imperial Japanese Army took over Hong Kong. Hey kids, guess like Santa's reindeers this year is gonna look a little different. A total of 40,000 people, half from Hong Kong and half from mainland China, were abducted, and only 5,000 survived, while the rest died to physical abuse and starvation. Then the British came back and everything was basically normal. How did they come back? Well, World War II just kinda faded away. So let's fast forward a few decades later to one of the biggest events in Hong Kong history. China comes back. Boo! British colonial rule sucks! On July 1st, 1997, Britain gave up Hong Kong from the pledge, making Hong Kong return to being a part of China. Boo! Wait, what? Oh, come on. Aw. Okay, guys, time to find something else to hate. This is all done in the handover ceremony, and the big thing was that China got back Hong Kong. Well, not really, but we'll get to that in a second. King Charles III, or Prince Charles during the time, gave a speech about the future of Hong Kong and it being the future hands of China, blah blah blah. Just before midnight, the Union Jack flag was lowered down and the People's Republic of China flag was raised. This marked the end of British Hong Kong and a new beginning for China Hong Kong. Haha, finally, Hong Kong is all mine, said China. Or, well, that's what they thought. You see, Communist Party leader Deng Xiaoping and the British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, yes, her, came to some agreements. The joint declaration of the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and North, okay, you got the point. It states when China has Hong Kong, the culture, the way of life, economic and legal system, freedom of speech, and freedom of press should all stay the same until 50 years later. This agreement expires in 2047. China agreed to this agreement as Hong Kong was an extremely profitable city of China at the time, which just slowly throughout the decades has died down due to new megacities in China. There's actually a name for this, and it's called the One Country, Two Systems model. Let's actually dive a little into why this model is so important for Hong Kong. So, the People's Republic of China has some incidents that the government hides. But if you don't know, I'll just give you a hint. It involves tanks and the guy with the plastic bags. Communist China heavily censors their citizens, which removes their freedom of speech and press. However, it's different in Hong Kong, as they are able to say bad things about the People's Republic of China, and China can't really do anything about it. So that's pretty much it. The British took Hong Kong, influenced and built stuff, China got it back, and now the sequel for this video comes in 2047. You know, I'm still wanted by the Hong Kong government. 太細呢度，停，唔喐喺啲打佢，細打細佢。 呢係一個 Rohom 生意角。